Now let's proceed to an added byproduct of this all-leveling nihilism. So as appearance becomes irrelevant, and anything connected to nature becomes irrelevant, is leveled down to nothing. And since all sense of identification comes from the system itself, then the male-female division, specialized division, also becomes irrelevant. Now sex becomes nothing more than a game, an entertainment, a hedonistic pastime, an escape from the humdrum of reality, from the stresses of reality, from the disappointments of reality. And this makes certain mutations desirable or feasible or viable, such as homosexuality. Since sex is now nothing but a pastime, as many in the feminist and the MRA movements imply, and sometimes even outright state, since it's no longer a reproductive mechanism or method, then sex becomes a toy for children to play with. You stick your penis in a vagina, you gesticulate until orgasm is reached, and then nothing else comes of it. It's there's no responsibility, and it is this avoidance of responsibility which is the underlying motive, the underlying need. We can see this in some of the videos which are provided. This desire to avoid all costs, just to play, just to benefit, just to enjoy, with no responsibility, no outcome, no sense of integrity, to live without paying anything. This, of course, is part of shelter. A sheltered mind wants to remain a child, and a child cannot have a child. So the sex becomes nothing more than a pastime, like I said. So why are some mutations acceptable and not others? Well, in the case of homosexuality, it is a preferred mutation because emasculation is needed by the system. The male component has to be eliminated. Therefore, effete males, the ones that are born so because of hormonal factors or genetic factors, are preferable to any display of masculinity, or any display of masculinity which goes against the system's desires. For instance, why is pedophilia not accepted? Because in pedophilia, the resource of a child is appropriated by the male, perhaps even damaged by it, and the system wants to retain exclusivity over all resources, and children now are a resource which only the system can exploit. Of course, it turns a blind eye to other sexual mutations or dysfunctions which are the byproducts of sheltering environments, such as bestiality. In this case, the system doesn't really care one way or another. It protects animals just on principle, just to play the part that it is selling to the populations, which it seeks to control. A logical continuation of all this leveling, of course, leads to bestiality, if I may be so bold as to say, because there's a movement now called speciesism, which claims that humans are being prejudiced towards animals, since appearances are irrelevant, and since the only thing that matters is service to the state, and since all identifications are acquired through the state or through the service, that is the individual's productivity and its ability to consume, therefore being prejudiced using appearance as a standard of determining an organism's or individual's qualities is wrong. Therefore, denying animals equal rights is by definition wrong. This is the ultimate extent of nihilism. This is where all this bullshit is headed for. Since we can't distinguish people according to race, but we can now, some of us at least, allow ourselves to determine according to sex. Therefore, the next step is to deny all sensual awareness. What we perceive the other as being different, when we perceive the other as being different than us, this is an illusion, since we are all one. And this monism, or this unity of one, is a form of leveling, of assimilation, of uniformity. Now, if you add this to the bullshit concerning the nature of sex, how it's love and sharing and this blah blah, and there's no aggressivity or domination or dominion involved, then you get some of the arguments pedophiles are using. Since sex and love is so wonderful, then why do we exclude children from appreciating and from attaining this love? Are we being prejudiced towards them based on appearance, on how they look? Are we being prejudiced towards them because of their age? Is this a form of ageism? Since no prejudice is permitted based on appearance, then this, if we remain loyal to the bullshit liberal principles, is a no-no. We cannot be prejudiced towards anybody based on appearance. Of course, the retort is one founded on maturity, and the age of maturity is of course arbitrary, because some children mature sexually at 12, and in fact the studies have shown that the sexual maturity age is decreasing due to higher nutritional levels, and perhaps some would say the influx of hormones in our diets. But that's neither here or there. The system imposes an arbitrary age and says from here on it's illegal, from underneath this it's illegal, above this age is legal. This just to show the some of the bullshit that's involved in all this. So we have now this growing normalization of the mutation of homosexuality. Since sex is no longer for reproduction, then you can stick your penis in a man's butt. You can suck a man's dick if you're a man. Doesn't really matter, since it's all for games. It's a bonding method now. Sex is just for bonding, for entertainment, for passing one's time, for comforting one another. In other words, it's a social glue, and it has no reproductive significance. This is the anti-nature right there. Now, homosexuality does occur in other species, but it usually is a sign of unfitness. And if homosexuals are integrated within a group, then they act as supportive elements. In effect, they act as surrogate females. Even the lesbians are not fully masculine in the fact that they may enjoy masculine sexuality, but they don't think in masculine ways. They still remain predominantly females, because otherwise the system will not tolerate them. In nature, homosexual is used as a display of dominance. For instance, a dominant male will hump an inferior male as an indication of his superiority. It's an establishment of hierarchy. And the bonobo monkey's sexuality is used for the same reasons, for relief of stress before it reaches the point of violence. And penetration is not ever seen. Only with humans is penetration perceived and normalized. In effect, this ties into the emasculation of men. and the desirability of the female type. Now men are simply ornamental. Their genitals are only ornamental, only to be used for sexuality when it's not to produce an offspring. And the MRAs, you can see, have latched onto this. They propose either abstinence from sex altogether, making their sexuality altogether inconsequential, or they propose sex being used as a game, as a ploy, as a release of excess energies for the sake of pleasure, hedonism, which also ties into the materialism, which they ironically oppose, because they only oppose the materialism because they have to work, and it's work that they're opposed to. I suspect that homosexuality will increase and homosexual tendencies will increase because it's desirable to the system, and the system is the only masculine entity allowed. If you see species such as the ants, bees, termites, they're exclusively females. Males are produced only seasonally, and then they're eradicated. In other species, males are excluded altogether. They're pushed into the peripheries, and this is what's happening now. When men drop out, this is desirable to the system because dropping out essentially means they're relegated to the periphery of the system's dominance, and they're, just as long as they pay their taxes and they don't make a fuss, they will remain excluded from the genetics, excluded from causing trouble. In order to be integrated, of course, they have to be emasculated, they have to show the appropriate deference, the appropriate feminine qualities. Some variation of this tendency of more effete males is what is called dandyism in the past, or what today is called metrosexuality. It is this obsession with looks, with seducing a female with the appearance of being masculine, whereas the substance of being masculine is absent. This is a pure pretense, pure acting. When the real thing cannot be attained, then all that's left is a pretense. Another variation is this hyper masculinity, this excess of symbolic masculinity, which is not accompanied again with any actual masculinity. This overcompensation for a loss. We see this in rap music, for instance, where everything is exaggerated, overemphasized, everything is bigger in order to compensate for the loss of the substance of masculinity, its power, its essence, its spirit. Once the substance is absent and all that's left is pretense, then even a female can put on a pair of pants and act the role. She can pretend to be a man, she can strap on a gun, she can cut her hair short and play soldier. She can be a lesbian. Doesn't really matter, because it's all about playing the part without actually being the part. It's all Hollywood.